Hello there. This is Chris from front of FTC. Today I'm here with Team 11525 Minerva's Mechanics. They're here at the Laurel, Maryland qualifier, and they've had a great season so far since winning their previous qualifier, and they're currently undefeated today as well. They come today with a very well packaged, efficient robot with a unique intake and shooter design. So let's see more of it here on Behind the Bot.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. For over 100 years, Kettering University has offered a better education because from day one, that education has been built on hands-on, co-op learning. Kettering's impressive alumni network includes founders, presidents, CEOs, and frontrunners who have a reputation for transforming industries with their resolute leadership. Apply today at kettering.edu/first. AndyMark is your one-stop shop for all your robotics competition needs. Celebrating 20 years of quality robotics parts and superior service, AndyMark employees have over 200 years of first-team experience. From mechanical and electrical products to tools and hardware, head on over to andymark.com for high-quality and affordable solutions.
Hey, so could you start off by telling us about the overall structure of your robot?
So first we have our intake, which uses vector wheels to help pull our game pieces into our bot with wedges to funnel it into our intake system. Next we have a piece here that can come out once it senses the color to help us sort the balls into the correct color pattern of the April tag. Next, for our outtake system, we have a turret that has 270 degrees of freedom with servos controlling the movement of it. The angle it is able to change the angle, which can allow it to shoot from anywhere on the field.
Okay, so was your packaging plan, or did it just come into place over time?
It mostly came in place over time due to us having ideas for an intake and our outtake, and then just figuring out what comes in between that.
Okay, so thanks for explaining about that. So moving on to your intake. So how do you end up coming to this intake design?
So this intake, we initially used vector wheels. We wanted to use these from the start. At the beginning, we knew that we would have to change it a lot, and if we really wanted to have a fixed intake design, because with the fixed intake design, you can just beat the crap out of it and never have to worry about another robot hitting it. So we have a 1/4-inch polycarb on both plates. So 4 plates of 1/4-inch polycarb with a 3/8 shaft. And then we have this surgical tubing. This has kind of been experimental, but the surgical tubing has been mainly to give us more reach into the corners, and the tip speed is faster, so it's just more efficient.
Okay, so how do you come to this design, and why do you think this design is best for your goals overall?
Well, as I said, we can beat the crap out of it, but we since we knew that we would have to change it a lot, it's mounted with threaded rod right here that we can take out, and we can basically take this whole intake out pretty easily. We've gone through 3 different iterations. That's just changing compression on our pass-through, changing how close the last surgical tubing roller that feeds into the shooting is to the ball, stuff like that.
Okay, so I noticed you have a Limelight on your right above your intakes. Can you break down what it's used for and how does it help your robot?
At first, when we first start teleop, we use the Limelight to track where the goal is on the field. And then once we get the position of the goal, we use our odometry pods to constantly calculate the angle from our robot to the goal. And then using a little bit of trigonometry, we can also calculate the distance and get the best angle and RPM of the flywheel from a stored list of values that we have in our code.
So initially on our robot, for our first qualifier, which got canceled, we used just pure Limelight and a PD controller mounted with the Limelight mounted to our turret just to track the April tags. But it was slow, it was not accurate from the far zone, and it would only aim at the center of the April tag. We couldn't add offsets to, aim consistently at the back goal. So we had the idea to just use odometry, and we tested it, and it drifted like maybe 4 inches over the course of a match, which wasn't bad enough to actually make it miss the shots. So, and the benefit to mounting statically is that we can use Mega Tag 2, which is really accurate for relocalizing our odometry, and we can use an auto intaking algorithm for our far zone auto.
So I see you have a transfer here. So can you like show how the artifact would go from the intake to the shooter?
Yeah. So it comes up here and it gets kicked up by the surgical tubing roller, and then it rides on the back of like the profile with the ball profile, like 3D print, and then it gets kicked up with the surgical tubing roller, and then we can hit one button to open our latch and then open our water.
Thank you for explaining this. Okay, so how much has this intake and just and transfer design changed over time? And
so the transfer has changed a decent amount. That, as I said before, that was just changing intake geometries and like what type of roller. Like we use the surgical tubing, or we use surgical tubing now, but we used a compliant wheel before. The main change that we've made is switching from a 96 millimeter wheel to a 72, because that means that the 72 millimeter wheel hits the ball earlier than a 96 millimeter wheel would. That makes sense, since it's closer.
I noticed you have a turret for your shooter. So could you break down how your shooter works and why do you think it works best for you the way it does?
So as many can probably tell, it is inspired by Theseus. We did make a few changes to it. So the main overview is that there's just 2 bear motors with the GT2 belt that goes to the 72 millimeter flywheel. These are 3/16 65 millimeter flywheels, steel flywheels. Yeah, and then there's this gate that actuates and goes over the ball, so we can't shoot it until we want to. And then there's just one servo that powers the hood. Yeah. But then the hood rides on these threaded rods, and then it's just a slotted design right here. So these threaded rods just sit inside of here, and yeah, it's really rigid. It works well.
So I see you have previous designs here. So how much have you changed since this first design?
So this is our first design. This is our second design. This is just a really simple shooter that we made just so we could test. We just needed something to work for our version 1 robot, and this is what we made. It just has these 2 motors back here, 1 and 2, and then a GT2 belt that goes to this flywheel. This is a 96 millimeter flywheel with, I think, 75 millimeter 1/8 inch steel flywheels. Then this was our turret latch right there. And this is our hood. This angle range was from 15 degrees to 45, I think. And then, no, 42, sorry. But the fact that this shaft had 4 bearings on it kind of made it, I don't know, it just sounded really bad. And whenever we would take the hood out like this, it would be fine and it wouldn't make any noise.
Do you use any kind of sensors on your robot to make it more efficient?
Yeah, we have 2 color sensors. One is right up here to the right of the turret, just below. And then one is at the bottom of the transfer. What this does is the one at the bottom tells us if there's any in the intake, like from here, because it looks all the way to the front of the intake. And then one is in the turret to tell us if one's ready to be shot or if there's still one. So if both of them if one of them is still detecting that there is a ball, then it doesn't move on to the next path. Well, there is a timer on that, so if it detects one for 2 seconds, then it will move on. But as soon as it doesn't detect any anymore, then it moves on to the next path.
So do you use this sensor in autonomous, teleop, or both?
Oh, it's just autonomous right now. We don't really have a reason to use it in autonomous or teleop.
So in the future, what plans do you have to work on change your robot? And if you had more time, what would you do?
The intake is probably the weakest link of our robot. Like, it's indestructible and we don't have to worry about it breaking, but it isn't as efficient as other designs. The fact that we have the wedges means that we can just ram, if there's a ball up against the wall, we can just ram in and it'll go into our intake. But we do have one issue where 2 balls will get stuck and we'll have to wiggle to get them loose. And we can't really fix that with the roller before, the wedges. So we would like to switch to a design where we have a roller back in here, the wedges are more out, and just compliant wheels.
Hey, thanks. And what kind of software changes would you also make to?
I mean, I think our software is like pretty solid right now. We haven't had any issues with it. I'd say if we're able to optimize for a 21 ball, that would be good.
Thank you to Team 11525 Minerva's Mechanics for your time. We learned a lot about your robot and how you make it as efficient as it is. And good luck on the rest of your season and the rest of this event. This has been Chris from Fun FTC signing off. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. AndyMark is your one-stop shop for all your robotics competition needs. Celebrating 20 years of quality robotics parts and superior service, AndyMark employees have over 200 years of first-team experience. From mechanical and electrical products to tools and hardware, head on over to andymark.com for high-quality and affordable solutions. For over 100 years, Kettering University has offered a better education because from day one, that education has been built on hands-on, co-op learning. Kettering's impressive alumni network includes founders, presidents, CEOs, and frontrunners who have a reputation for transforming industries with their resolute leadership. Apply today at kettering.edu/first.